Welcome to a Starter and a Chaser podcast with your hosts, Joe Clarke and John Passow. My mamacita, donde es Santa Claus, the vato with the bony knees, walking down the street with no shoes on his feet. Hi! Welcome to another episode of a Starter and a Chaser podcast. I am John Passow.
I'm Joe Clarke.
And Joe, the reason why I was singing Santa Claus and his old lady was because we have something from half of Cheech and Chong.
We do.
We have from Cheech Marin, tres papalotes, but we don't have tres of them. We have dos of them.
We have dos.
We have dos.
Yes.
And we have the 100% agave.
And then we have the wild cupriata agave, Oven.
If you know the proper Spanish pronunciations of these, please comment below.
Basically, this is just a wild agave that is found
in the mountains. Yes.
It's not a cultivated, farmed agave like this 100% agave.
Mm-hmm. And most of your blue Weber agave for tequila is a cultivated variety. But Joe's absolutely right. This one, they go up into the mountains with a donkey and a cart, sometimes they just even go up just by themselves to hand harvest these wild agaves and by the way, this is mezcal.
Yeah.
This isn't tequila.
It's not tequila.
All tequilas are technically mezcals, but not all mezcals are tequilas. And there is actually this holographic label to let you know that this is an authentic mezcal. There's a whole really fascinating industry around mezcal and Mexico's historical drink, and it was outlawed at one point. Really fascinating stuff, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We are.
Take a nose of the 100% agave one.
Is this blue agave?
No.
Just agave.
Yeah, it's a different type of agave. Actually, the agave itself, it's an espadine agave, and it is blue, like the blue Weber, but it looks completely different. I mean, it's got long leaves, whereas the blue Weber agave is short and fat.
I'm finding these mezcals in general don't share. You get the agave, you get some of the sweetness in there, but they have this different kind of earthy funk to them that tequila does not tend to carry along with that. It's very different. Even though they have the agave similarities, it is quite different than any tequila I've tried.
Absolutely.
Because it's not tequila.
And majority of what Joe's referencing, the reason he's getting that is because of how mezcal is made. And with tequila, they harvest the agave, they put the piñas into a clay oven or a stainless steel oven, and they roast them. Sometimes they steam them. But with this, they take the piñas and they dig a giant pit. They start a fire, they put the piñas on it, and then they bury it, and it cooks it for 3 days. And then they unbury it, and then they take a stone wheel. This is traditional. Now, they do industrial, which shortcuts a lot of these, but traditionally, they take a giant stone wheel and they crush all of that and then ferment it. So that's why you get a lot of this funky, earthy notes, and these in particular are wild fermented, so that adds to the funk even. Long-winded, sorry.
That's okay.
A lot of information here.
While you were talking about that, I did take a nose on the wild agave here. It's completely different. I mean, it is not even recognizable versus the 100% agave.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Night and day
products. This smells like, what is that one that is blue cheese funk?
Oh, Rumfire?
Yes.
Where is Rumfire?
Right here.
All right.
This smells just like that. It is very similar to that. I mean, if you were to blind me and say, which drink is that? I'd be like, oh, dude, that's Rumfire. That's what it smells exactly like that.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really, really funky, no sweetness, no kind of little burnt tire in there, really, man. I mean, I'm serious.
It's funky, huh?
But just like that one, I'm going to guess that it's going to have a little different experience on the palate, too.
Could be. By the way, the one that Joe was just talking about, that is 92 proof, and the other one, the 100% agave, is 80 proof. Now, before we really dive into this, I think we need to talk about Cheech. Just briefly. So Cheech, a bunch of distributors came up to him and said, hey, we want to do something with you. We want to do wine. He's like, wine's everywhere. We want to do tequila with you. He's like, tequila. And then he was like, what about mezcal? Because he was a tequila drinker, but he started getting into mezcal. So they teamed up and they produced the Tres Papalotes. Now, the the picture on here is actually a picture of something from his personal collection.
Yeah, he's really into that is Mexican art.
Yes,
And,
not Mexican in particular. It's Chicano.
Chicano, that's
Yes,
what I'm looking for. Chicano art.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he has one of the largest Chicano art collections in the world, and this is a glass statue by the De La Torres brothers. And so that's what he chose to put onto his bottles. There's the little history behind Tres Papalones and Cheech Marin. Now, let's dive in.
Okay, let's start with the first 100% agave. It'll be interesting to see the difference between these two. They are incredibly different on the nose. It's interesting how those different agaves do that.
Oh, yeah. Mezcal's very, very unique in how different they are.
It is so earthy.
Yeah, spicy on the back end.
Oh, it's spicy. It is very earthy.
And by the way, this is the 40 proof 100% agave.
This has a completely different note palette than anything I've ever tasted from, South America, Mexican area, even, your rum fires, all the different tequilas and mezcals we've tried. I've tried a little bit of mezcal, not on the show, but with John before. Man, this is earthy, but this is really smoky.
And that's that
fire transferring through onto the top. I caught a
closing it in there and
that.
smoking it, basically.
Yeah. I caught a little bit of that on the nose. I'm like, I don't know. Then you start talking about the fire, and I was like, I wonder if this is going to hit the palate.
This is kind of reminiscent of Scotch as far as the smoke level goes. I mean,
it's smoky.
Well, it's not peated. It is like you started up the smoker and you're got a pork butt in there, and that smoke is just coming out. It's like that, but it's to the level of a Brook Laddie, highly peated Scotch.
It's smoky, man.
Yeah.
This is like the Isla of Mexico.
Mexican Isla.
Right,
I like
it really is.
I'm going back for a third because I'm digging on this. Little familiar agave sweetness on the front of that.
A little bit.
But then it just goes different.
I kind of like how it's not so sweet. Some of them can be really sweet, like
that's true.
Just unbalanced sweet. This is really balanced sweet, and I like the smoke aspect of it too, and the spice. It kind of brings you almost like a rye spice to it, even though it's not rye. But I'm just saying it has that characteristic to it on the tongue. I get a lot of prickly notes to it on the front of the tongue, in the middle of the tongue there, and also it's got that nice smoke note of like an Isla whiskey. It's really complex.
And then it's all really well grounded with that earthy note. I mean,
it's super earthy.
That's crazy. I'm going to take a sip of water.
You're almost like drinking the process. You know what I mean?
That's a very good way to describe it. Yeah. You are drinking the process.
This ought to be interesting.
Now the 92 proof wild Cuparetta.
This is, I'm stoked to see if this is going to be like that rum fire.
Where it was weird on the nose and delicious.
Oh, it's weird on the nose, man. So let's do it.
To the process.
Cheers.
Slightly lighter.
It is.
Than the other one.
It's not weird like that. I was expecting this to get kind of weird.
It's got some funk though.
It's funky.
It's got some funk.
But it's also spicier than the first one.
Absolutely.
And the spice really tames down the funk on that. I bet if we go in for a second one, this will balance out a lot better.
Ooh, I'm getting heat on this one now.
Little heat, spice.
What is that?
Funk.
There's like something that's chewy to this. And it's not quite like it's almost like a barrel tannin, but it's not a barrel.
Right.
I bet you they put these in like wood fermenters. And
you think so?
I think that's what I'm pulling from it.
Oh, so you kind of get maybe like that barrel-esque kind of thing going on there. Okay, I can see that. It is
wood sugars and giving that chewy note.
It's slightly splintery, actually. Like mid-palate. These really rest heavily on your, I know you taste things with your tongue, but it rests heavily on your tongue.
Yeah, it really stays there, and it's not like a whiskey where it just kind of lightens up on the finish.
Or kind of like blooms all around. You get a little here, a little there, a little something on the back end. It's like really centralized in your mouth. I don't know how to explain that.
And it sits there with an intensity.
Yeah, it does.
It's not going away. It's like, I'm here, I'm staying, and you're gonna like me. And this is cool.
It's got a little bit of that blue cheese funk to it. Little bit.
I agree, but it's wild fermented, and that's kind of to be expected. Mezcals can be funky. Doesn't have the amount of smoke as the other one.
No.
I get a slight bit that kind of like wafts up on the corners of my tongue, but this is like a 3, whereas the first one was a 10.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Okay.
Cheech, man, what are you doing here? This is insane. This is really good. Joe, final thoughts on
Final thoughts.
Tres Papalotes, the 3 kite.
I'm a fan of the 100% agave one. That's going to be my number one. This is a little too funky for me, but I appreciate it because it doesn't transfer on the palate like it's real. I mean, it's rough on the, not rough as an alcohol rough on the nose. It's just very funky.
It's aggressive.
It's aggressive on the nose. It really is. But the palate's nice. But this one, I think, all around for me is a really nicely balanced drink. I like the smoke on this. I really do, because it has like that Islay Scotch smoke, and then the nice spice, rye spiciness is how I transfer that. The agave, the sweetness, it's not overbearingly sweet. I think it's a great mezcal.
Nice, nice. For me, I like them equally, but in different applications.
Okay.
The 100% agave, by the way, both of these are Joven, which means they're young. They're not aged. The 100% agave is big. It is kind of distinctly agave, and that smoke is just, oof, that's what I want to start the night. That's what I want to get going with. And then when the night is getting good, then I'm switching over to the wild harvested because it's funky. It's bold and spicy and will stand up to tacos and food and whatever you're going to throw at it, that's going to stand up to it. And I feel they both on the same level of excellence in my book, but have to have two different applications for it. Sound good?
Yeah,
Do you
I went
agree?
back to the 100% agave. I like it.
I kind of want to go
It's
back
nice
to
and spicy.
both of them.
It's nice and spicy.
But if you have had mezcal that you have enjoyed, let us know what the brand is. We'll see if we can get it in for a review here on the Starter and Chaser podcast. And be sure to hit subscribe. And
have you tried this? Let us know. What do you think of it? Have you tried both of them? Have you tried all three?
yeah, the three, the two of the three.
The two of the three.
Where is the third one, Cheech? Come on. And that's today's episode of a Starter. What? Somebody's at the door. Who is it? Dave's not here, man. Wait, where is Dave?